My 1986 Honda XL600R has been making some top-end noise. It's been gradually getting worse, and in this video, I want to show you the noise, then tear this motor down, and show you exactly what I found causing the noise. Hoping it's just take the top end off and maybe do a timing chain or a noisy rocker or something. It sounds more like a timing chain to me, but let me show you the noise here and tell me what you think down below. Can't hear the noise until it actually warms up, so let me run this thing for a little bit and then you'll hear what I'm talking about. As it warms up here, it's starting to make the noise. It actually gets a lot worse when it's hot, and you might be looking at this here. This is actually some Right Stuff silicone that I put on there many years ago to seal the O-ring on the timing chain adjuster, and it worked for like 5 years, something like that, and then it started trickling just again. But I'll shut up so you can hear the noise here. All right, took 34 minutes to pull the motor out of here. She's still pretty sloppy looking. That's a little bit better. Hit her one more time with the pressure washer. Got most of that old black paint that somebody had recoated it with, and of course the original red paint is left there. But let's pop this valve cover off and see what's going on. Jumping forward here about a week or so, here's where I'm at. First step after taking this valve cover off was checking that all the rockers were in good shape, had no lateral play or any odd wear, and everything looked and checked out well in there. And pop your valve cover gasket off, which can be reused. I inspected the camshaft lobes, took a look at the timing chain guides, and I don't see anything visually wrong, so I hopped online, went on a few forums, did a little research. It seems this timing chain tensioner is the #1 culprit and kind of the weak point in these Honda RFVC engines. I didn't see anything wrong with this when I took it out, but after all my research, I said it must be the timing chain tensioner, and instead of tearing into this much further, I kind of want to just put one in and see if it fixes the issue. So I went ahead and ordered a new timing chain tensioner, spring, and an O-ring. I'll plug in these part numbers down below if you need them. But let me show you how to remove this and how it works. I've obviously put this all back together now, but let me show you that. Forget if I already mentioned it or not, but before you go removing this valve cover, you're going to want to remove these two flathead plugs on this side and use a 17mm socket to rotate the engine until you see that line T indicating top dead center, and you want to make sure that the cam lobes are all facing down. And with it in this position, you can also see your timing chain marks that will be level with this head surface. Got that notch and that notch over there. That indicates that this engine's properly timed right now. We can now remove this tensioner. You're going to take some pliers and remove this pin. From what I've read on 1987 models, there's actually going to be a bolt here, but on this one, we'll just slide this pin right out of here. And then you're going to grab this shaft and you can just pull that straight out. That's where you'll have this O-ring, and you can see mine that came off of here was extremely dry rotted. I mean, this thing, no wonder it was leaking. I can't believe the Right Stuff held up as good as it did, but you can see this thing just cooked. Definitely get a factory OEM O-ring for this, because this aftermarket one did not last. And with that pin out, you should be able to take a screwdriver or pliers and just kind of pull this tensioner up Just watch as you pull this up, this spring here is gonna snap out just like that. Some quick information on how this tensioner works. This is a sprag clutch type tensioner, and so it relies on this spring tension. The spring will sit down here on the back side of the head, and when this drops in, this part will be pushing up against the timing chain guide that you can see right here. Accompanied with the spring tension is this sprag clutch inside of here, and basically what this is a one-way bearing. It will freewheel one way. You can see I could spin it that way, but it cannot spin back the other way. So my assumption is that that's what wears out. And you can see, comparing these two units together, this is the new one on the left, and this is the old one here. The bronze bushing looks fairly worn out, and if you know anything about springs, you know as they get hot and cold a lot over time, they can lose their spring tension. This sprag clutch in here, these little one-way roller bearings, they ride on this shaft too, and I would love to have replaced this, but it wasn't available online, so I might just take some very fine emery cloth and just kind of buff this out, because if you look at it close, you can see where those bearings were riding on there, and I don't know if that's part of the problem. But anyway, let me show you how to install this new tensioner here, and we'll get this thing back together and see if it fixes it. You're going to take this spring like so, slip it in that groove right there, and this is how it's going to go in, just like this. And before I show you how to put the tensioner in, I'll show you the last mod I added, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but you see this little screw sticking here? After some very careful measuring, I took a drill bit, drilled through the back of my head, and tapped it with a 6x1mm thread, and then ground down a bolt, a custom head on there so it didn't interfere with this oil tube bolt. The purpose of this bolt is for in the future, in case my timing chain tensioner fails again, instead of having to pull the motor out of the bike, I can thread a slightly longer bolt in here, and I might need to weld a little boss on here and thread that, because there's not too much threads in this head. You only got maybe like, I don't know, a 1/4 inch or something of material in there, so that won't really be enough to hold it. But you put a longer 6x1mm bolt in there, and then you can bring that, it'll kiss right on the back of this tensioner, right on the bottom right here, and it'll be a manually tensioned cam chain at that point, which a lot of bikes do have that. So I figured while this was apart, I would do that quick little modification in case I need it in the future. Anybody else, comment down below if anybody else that you know has done that. I kind of was like, you know what, let me just drill a hole in here and put that bolt in there in case. I just put some right stuff on it and torqued it down for now so it won't go nowhere, but it's there if I ever need it. With this tensioner, they do make a special tool to install it, but you can use a piece of wire or a zip tie like this, and clamping it in the vise would help too, but let's see if I can get this on without doing that. You just put your zip tie on like so, and then push this down with your finger and start tightening it down. And that should be enough. You want to get it so this tab is pushed down as far as you can go, and then leave the tail on here, and we'll drop this in. Take your new O-ring, lubricate that, and slip it on your shaft. Looks nice and good. I went ahead and put a little assembly lube or motor oil on here too. Work that in. Provided the engine's still timed properly, we can drop this tensioner in, going in this orientation, and you want to make sure that this spring tab gets onto the back of the head right there. You got to make sure it's compressed enough to do so. Get your zip tie out of the way. Make sure your timing guide is properly positioned, and then you can slip this bolt in here. Be very careful not to tear this O-ring, so when you're pushing this on, use some pliers and give it a little turn. Make sure that kind of just works in there without pinching it or tearing it. And then you can drop your pin or bolt back in there, whatever yours has. You can rotate this. You might have to rotate this 180 for it to line back up properly. You feel that, I missed it. You'll feel it grab there, and then you can just tap that baby in. Boom. And a little X-Acto knife like this to cut your zip tie off and pull this out of there. Just make sure you got a sharp blade and that you don't break this thing off in there. Once it's snipped, you should be able to work this out of here. Boom. Got the whole thing out. That baby is set and ready to go. I put some assembly lube on the camshaft and the rocker faces. One thing worth noting, I forgot to order an oil seal for this shaft right here. You should definitely do that for the decompression. I forgot one, so if you're doing this job, don't forget that. And then I used some acetone and a cloth, wiped all these surfaces down perfectly clean. On this aluminum gasket, I'm gonna reuse it and use ultra black high temp RTV silicone. I usually use Right Stuff on everything, but I don't want, that stuff's pretty thick, and I don't want anything thicker than, like this stuff's real thin, it will squeeze right out. I don't want anything thicker than this gasket because these are, it's the critical bearing surfaces here at like right here in the center particularly. You want to make sure that those clearances are set properly. Just a tiny little smear on each side, nice and thin. Torque spec for the 6mm bolts is 108 inch-pounds, and for the 8mm bolts, 19 foot-pounds. Okay, the bike's finally all back together, and I'm ready to start it and see if that noise is gone. You can see I decided to paint the frame and a couple other things on it. I'm still waiting on a rear fender. That nice stainless steel exhaust came out pretty good, and had a little bit of fitment issues with the XR's only header. It's a little big, but got it on there okay. But let's see if this thing fires up and if it still has some noise. What was that, 2 or 3 kicks? Not too bad. Now this noise right here, you hear that? That's completely normal when it's really cold like it is today. That's just the Kickstarter gear in there making a little noise. Goes away. I did put oil in it, made sure to do that, so probably gonna shut this off in a minute and check that though. Just choke off a little bit. So far so good. Just checked the oil. I'm going to take it for a little ride now and get some color on these headers and make sure that noise is definitely gone. Put a few miles on her and she's running like a champ, no noise at all. Listen to that. Oh yeah, beautiful. I mean, paint job's terrible, don't look at that. But listen to that motor. She is purring like a kitten. I still gotta go back and put finishing touches like I was already saying. I don't know why I even wasted my time painting this bike. It's just gonna get hammered up off-road anyway because I really abuse my equipment pretty good. But I definitely love that XR's only header. Look at that thing. Can't wait till it gets some more color on it. Gets covered in mud. Gonna look beautiful. Did you guys notice that whistling noise? I didn't hear it in person. I guess it's because it's pretty high pitched, but I heard it in the video. It's because I had the cap off down here on this breather. Boom, there you go. So now that breather's being ventilated just to the air box. Wow, that's really loud now. Don't know how I didn't hear that before. And that should wrap this video up. Hopefully didn't drag it on too long and you learned something out of it. Quick side note, I don't know if anybody noticed this sticker on my bike, but if you ever go out to Moab, Utah, definitely check out the Love Muffin Cafe. Not too tough for the muff. Great place, awesome coffee, great people, and really good food. And of course, High Alpine Brewing, there you go. I'll tag you guys in there too. If you get a chance, consider giving the video a thumbs up, commenting, or checking out my channel. And until next time, this is Chris Brown here, No Nonsense Know How. I'll see you in the next one.